So I guess the key question so many have about these executive orders is whether they'll bring both sides back to the negotiating table and whether they make a full congressional deal more or less likely.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to think about it. And I do think that it helps bring both sides back to the table. I mean, basically, the orders advertise a certain amount of actions that are going to benefit Americans immediately. And we don't really think that they'll behave that way. So you already mentioned the state governor of concern. With the unemployment insurance, you're basically asking states, which are already cash strapped. By our estimate, they're $180 to $375 billion short on revenue through the end of next fiscal year, to kick in money, and on top of that, set up a completely new program. So I think it's entirely possible weeks, possibly even months before this money could even potentially get out, and it would be smaller. You could say the same thing about the payroll tax cut, because it's basically a short-term loan to employees. Will employers want to extend that loan and then claw back a bunch of money at the end of the year? So these benefits aren't necessarily going to get out anytime soon. Once that realization sets in beyond the headline that was created by the executive orders, I think you'll see Congress coming back together pretty quickly and get back to the negotiating table.
Well, what chance do you put on a full deal, and by when? And given that we just referenced how the president was talking about the stock market last night, do you think that it might require another sort of pullback in the market or a disappointing month of jobs numbers to really crystallize any deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. I tend to think with our discussions with clients, I think clients are also mostly sort of confident in the idea that there will be a deal here at the end of the day. So that could be helping markets and therefore, in theory, could be delaying a deal a bit. However, I don't really think that's what's ultimately going to push a deal over the line or not. It's going to be the feedback that lawmakers are getting from the governors in their states, the people in their states, the businesses in their states that need that aid. So I say that we're still confident that you're going to get a deal here. Over what time frame? I do think some time's been added to the clock by these executive orders, because now you think you have both sides in their corner trying to see how this is going to play out, maybe talking to their constituents, looking at polls. So this probably went from a kind of middle of April situation, or I'm sorry, middle of August, to it could be taking most of August, potentially could leak beyond Labor Day.
Michael, the other big political issue everyone's focused on in the marketplace is whether China tensions continue to escalate and if there's going to be retaliation from China. What are you guys at Morgan Stanley expecting? And do you think the election could change the direction of travel on that particular issue? Or do you think whoever's president's going to keep the pressure on China?
Yeah, I think in the short term, this August 15th meeting is an important touch point. And I think our anticipation is that it'll be relatively quiet. I think kind of the sweet spot for both countries is to push each other on medium and long-term issues, which include a lot of non-tariff actions, a lot of the things that we've seen already with sanctions and export restrictions, but not to create a kind of short-term acute economic stress situation by returning to tariffs. So that's how the phase one deal can probably remain kind of in a fragile peace, relatively quiet zone. But the second part of your question, what happens after the election? We get this question a lot. Would a President Biden be different for this relationship? I think it's fair to say that it could be different in sort of tone and approach. But would you see tariffs come down quickly? I don't think so. Would you see a difference in the non-tariff actions? I don't think so. I think at this point, China's skepticism is relatively bipartisan. And even if it wasn't, the administration wouldn't want to sort of relieve the actions that have already been taken while they have so much more to negotiate for in a potential phase two agreement.